Good evening and welcome to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen Workshop. It is no... We have a special guest. Two special guests.
Hello there. Oh, Merry Christmas.
Deadly force is authorized.
Caught his eye quick.
My head came from a wonderful party from the elves. We enjoyed the party. We just got back here. And we're just thinking we should come here and ask, you guys are all set for this new Christmas party, festival, winter festival, parade?
Yes.
We are.
Yes.
We are
Everything?
Santa.
Yes.
I'll let my missus take over.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Aldermen, all of our wonderful people, staff, and citizens, we're glad to be here tonight. Mayor, we apologize for interrupting the meeting. I hope that's okay, that we go ahead and just continue on. All right. So like Santa said, we just came back from the Elves party.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Yep.
It was amazing.
yeah.
But tell them what happened, Santa, with the candy canes and
Oh,
everything.
they got a little carried away during the party. They, with all the candy cane, I tried to break them up, but they were throwing candy canes and got into my beard. Last year I had a nice flock of long, beautiful beard. Well, it got sticky, and trying to pull them, those candy canes, it was too messy. So my missus had to start cutting it and trimming it up. So that's what happened this year.
And I think he looks pretty handsome, though, don't you? Also, while we were at the Elves party, which, by the way, I want to thank the people that we had hired to help us do the Elf party. They are the Elf engagement team. It is Leah and Jules. So thank you both so much for helping us organize this wonderful, wonderful party for the elves. And in thanks, the elves actually all donated. Want to show them what they donated?
They donated for the winter festival. They had
For the toy drive.
For the toy drive, some gloves, scarves, socks, all the wonderful things for winter so they could play outside in the snow and make Frosty the Snowman. Ooh, and important one, snowball fight! Yay!
Santa's a little hyped up from the punch that we had.
Oh, yeah.
He's making up for my enthusiasm tonight. Very much so. We will be putting the hats and gloves and socks and the hats. I said that, didn't I? And whatever else is in that bag, which it may be my Mr. Goodbar, because the elves had given me a Mr. Goodbar, and I was going to eat it on the way home from the party, and I couldn't find it, and I dug in the bag, and it wasn't there, so someone may be getting a Mr. Goodbar. But we will put that in for the toy drive. I think this would be some great additions to it. So we don't want to keep you because we know the agenda is very, very long. And we know it's almost as long as Santa's good list that he has going on.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
But we wanted to share with you all that the city of Laverne is having their annual Parade of Lights.
Woo!
Like a I said, a little too much punch. This year's theme is peace and calm and quiet on earth. And it's to both honor the brave men and the women who serve our country, and to also support an end to the wars and fighting seen recently around the world. The Grand Marshal will be Aaron Bach, and Santa.
Aaron Bach, sir, he is proud to serve his country.
Yes, he is. He's a retired 25-year military veteran and Laverne resident. We're looking forward to seeing Aaron and his beautiful wife, April, as the Grand Marshals this year. The parade's scheduled for this Saturday and will begin at 5 p.m. It starts at City Hall and it continues down Murfreesboro Road, ending at the wonderful Winter Festival, which is an awesome addition that the Parks and Rec have added to the great holiday fun.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun on the skates.
No
Go
Santa.
ice skating?
No Santa. You will not be ice skating. No. We have to preserve the hips. So,
And
yes.
the knees, and the knees.
Absolutely.
And the knees.
And the knees.
And the knees.
Yes. So if I see you with knees, toes, and head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Okay. Woo! Too much punch. The Winter Festival will include the tree lighting ceremony, fireworks,
Boom!
okay, snow rink, pictures with Santa.
And Mrs. Claus.
Oh, thank you. Vendors, snacks, and hot chocolate. So we want everyone to please come out. Come line the road, see the parade, and then come down and meet us at the Winter Festival. Let's see what else there is on there. I think we've covered it. The Winter Festival will start at 3, so the skating will start at 3. The vendors will be out there. And then when Santa and I arrive after the parade, and how are we arriving, Santa?
Oh, on the back of the fire truck.
That's right. And what does the fire truck say?
Oh, it's a boat like.
Okay. So we will arrive on the back of the fire truck, and then we will head toward the tent where the Parks Department will have a wonderful heated area for the children and parents to come over and have their pictures made with Santa and I. So we really look forward to that. Do you have any questions? I'm so afraid to ask for Santa.
Santa, do you have any more of the juice?
I think he drank it all.
I drank it on the way here.
But it was not alcoholic. It was good juice. It was good juice. He just has excitement.
Sugar rush.
Do you all have any questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Claus. We look forward to seeing you Saturday night.
We look forward to being there. I will have him calm down, and I will be more excited. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
You have a nice evening. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Santa.
Yes.
Well, that's going to be a hard act to follow.
Absolutely. Now I know how Danny feels.
Yeah, there it is.
Well, this is our Board of Mayor and Aldermen workshop. It is November 30th, 2023. It was 6:30 when we started, but it's 6:39 now. The prayer will be with Vice Mayor No. The Pledge of Allegiance will be with Alderwoman Hobbs. Should all have a copy of the November 7th regular meeting as well as the November 16th special meeting. We will have a special swearing-in ceremony for our one and only Police Chief Christopher Mays. I believe that the family will be down as well, right?
Yes, sir.
So we look forward to that. If anyone signs up, we'll have a public comment period, and then we will have all the departmental reports, and Ronnie can explain how the fire truck goes voo, voo, voo. like Santa said. And then yes, he can make all those noises for us. Next, we'll have old business, second reading, ordinance 2023-27, an ordinance to amend Title 16, Chapter 5, Section 16-502 of the Laverne Municipal Code, and amend the City of Laverne fee schedule regarding the moving of houses, structures, or buildings. And so this is second reading. We discussed this last month. Does anyone have any questions on it? Seeing none, we're going to move into the consent agenda. And first, we're going to have approve or reject city bids and purchases. First item is the state contract, Microsoft annual license renewal. That is just like it sounds. It's our annual contract with Microsoft. And so this is split up between multiple funds. It is $98,348.56. Does anyone have any questions on that? Moving on to number 2, sole source purchase amendment, ballistic carriers and plates for the police department SWAT team. And
That's gonna come out of their regular 312 line item. We're not gonna have to do another budget amendment.
this is
So
just
that- we'll get
revising that
worked
quote.
out.
Okay, and then
And then we have the 9 PPVs and 1 Ford SUV PPV. The only thing's not on here right now is the radios because we haven't been given the price from Motorola.
okay,
But everything else is here. We're looking at $761,173.78 before radios. That's well under budget, so I really expect it to stay under budget.
wonderful. Those are words we love to hear.
The next is the tactical rescue and response vehicle for the police department. That is partial grant funded. I think the grant portion is $239,927.
And this, our portion of it's coming out of the police impact fee.
That's my understanding. No, equitable sharing.
What's that? Equitable sharing.
Equitable sharing, right?
Yep.
I just have a quick question. What is a Bearcat used for?
Well, and I could actually, my experience for a Bearcat is anytime we have like a tactical operation, it's an armored vehicle that allows officers to safely approach a home and conduct search warrants and things of that nature. We had to utilize several of them from outside jurisdictions during our latest incident where our officers were shot in the line of duty. It's just, in today's day and age, it's an invaluable piece of equipment for a law enforcement agency.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes.
And this is replacing the MRAP, which.
Yes, the MRAP, we actually got rid of that.
Yeah.
So that we no longer have any capabilities of this nature, and I don't know if Sergeant Timpson, if you wanted to add anything.
That's fine.
I just know that every time it was started up and driven, it would break down, so it's not a bad idea to replace it.
I do need to clarify that the additional 100,000 is coming out of impact fees,
It's impacted.
because that's the one we did the budget amendment for last month.
Okay, and that's what I see here in the packet, so that's why I was asking. Any other questions? Okay,
Okay, then we have a Ford SUV for the fire department. That is on the lot, and it's gonna come out of their impact fund.
and it is less than what we budgeted.
Yes. I was impressed. They did not go up as much as I expected on vehicles this year. Then the next one, we have a Ford F-150 for the street department.
And again, under budget there.
Yes, sir. That's a statewide contract as well.
Okay,
Then we have a bucket truck for the street department. That is a state contract. We're hoping all these come in this year. We do have 2 at the end that did not, and we had to reorder.
okay,
We have a pickup truck, an F-150 for stormwater.
and this is again under budget.
Right. Then we have the 2 pickup trucks for water department. They'll be the Ford Maverick hybrids. We're gonna try those. They're under budget. we'll see how the hybrids work for us. Then we have the 2 trucks for sewer that got canceled by Ford last year that we had to reorder, that we're having to reorder this year.
And while there is a difference budget-wise, what we're saving with other items offsets
Yeah,
that.
it's,
So again, no,
again, I didn't think it was very bad. I think it was less than $300. Then I've got a sole source for the Smith and Lovelace products that the sewer department uses. And I've got a price structure of what they typically use, their most used products from Smith and Lovelace. We buy it through Van Brocklin and Associates. And then I'm not gonna talk about that. I've got something at the end, that we've got the naval thing at the end.
you can go ahead and hit on that since you're here.
Okay, that's a $6,000, it's a yearly item, and it is budgeted. This is for the, MOA, and then you'll have to sign that, of course,
Right.
when after it's approved.
This is
But
for
that'll
night
be
vision
for our,
goggles.
with the service.
Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, let's jump back over here to B. Approved grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance for the provision of grant funds for the Tennessee Law Enforcement Hiring, Training, and Recruitment Program. Total amount for this grant is $200,000. It'll be paid up to $40,000 per year for 5 years. We do have some documentation to file, but it's basically a way to hire longevity for new officers. Is that fair to say, Chief?
Yes, sir.
C, approved donation of funds from the Rutherford County Convention and Visitors Bureau for a new mural. The department reached out to me, and I've circled in Bruce and David on this. This is where they've reached out with $1,500 for us to do a mural. And so we filled out all the paperwork. Their only request is that with this, we have to have Visit Rutherford TN somewhere on it. But how it's designed, what it looks like, that's all up to us. So that will go through Arts and Beautification if we decide to accept this. Any questions?
Where would the mural go?
We could choose where it goes. They initially called about the side of City Hall. I informed them that we've already taken care of that. They've suggested the concession stands at the park. And so there's, of course, multi-purpose building. We have a whole bunch of opportunities, but that's something they can discuss with that committee.
I don't know the price of a mural. What's $1,500? What's that get you? Do you know?
I've not looked into this extensively yet, no. Do we know, how much was the wall out here? Do we have a-
6,500, I think.
So who will make the decision where it goes? The beautification board?
They
Make a recommendation.
They make a recommendation, and then it'll just continue on the regular path. David, do you want to speak to any of
I
this?
think the information we have right now is the $1,500. They're giving us that outright. It will come for the beautification board, but I think with $1,500 we can do it in-house. So there's really not a whole lot of stipulations to it other than that. Our thought is maybe they even said we could put it on a piece of plywood and mount it to a wall. So that's kind of our thoughts, going something in that direction up at the park on one of the concession stands. Paint a ball scene on it, kids playing ball on a piece of finished plywood, mount that to the wall, cover it with plexiglass. Our main concerns is if it goes anywhere, if it gets tagged and we tie a lot of money up into it, it may not last very long. So if we do it like this, mount it on the wall on something that can be removed and cover it with plexiglass, it just gives us a little more security. But I think we can do it in-house for $1,500. I think the cost of the plexiglass is gonna be more than anything else.
Is it stated in there how long we'd have to keep it?
It does, I don't believe it did state how long we would have to keep it. And I don't even think it stated, you know, if it was damaged that we would have to replace it. They just want the initial money to come off their books. And this was a request from them to us that we think we could pull off, especially doing it in-house. That's where we're going to save the most of the labor at.
I believe their only two requirements were the hashtag and that it needed to be invoiced before the end of the year,
Yes, sir.
end of the calendar year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 6D, approve the 2024 meeting and holiday calendar. Everyone should have a copy of that. Please review that. And if there's any holidays that you see conflicting with this that we did not already compensate for, please let us know, or let Bruce know, that is. Then we have E, approve facility use agreement with Aaliyah Billingsley for a dance and majorette program at the multipurpose building. And this is our annual use agreement with this group. And so it is basically $15 hourly fee. And she typically uses it Tuesdays and Thursdays for about 2 hours. Any questions? Next, we move on to Vice Mayor No's favorite item, approve use facility agreement with Julianne Holbrook for a Zumba program at the multipurpose building. And again, this is our annual agreement with them. It's $15 an hour, typically Saturdays from 10 to 11 a.m. Is that right, sir?
I usually get there early.
Okay. And then G, approve facility use agreement with Jacqueline Dixon for a jazzercise program at the multipurpose building. Again, this is same $15 hourly rate, and then they're doing Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and they've got various times, but it's $15 an hour. Anyone have any questions? Moving on to H, approve a listing and marketing commission agreement with Owlsource Enterprises, LLC, DBA Safe Industries to sell the fire department heavy rescue truck. And this is basically allows the fire department to enter an agreement to sell basically this heavy rescue vehicle. It's not been in service for more than 3 years at this point. And so the daily operations and repair have just dramatically increased with this vehicle. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, moving on to new business. First reading ordinance 2023-28, an ordinance to amend Title II, Chapter 6, Section 2-601 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the membership of the Local Emergency Planning Committee. This received a favorable recommendation from the LEPC on November 13th, 2023. And the recommendation is to remove members representing the Laverne Rescue Squad, which would still leave them with one person representing, remove the one member of Box 100, remove the one member representing Rutherford County Special Operations and Response Team, add 3 members that will represent Laverne organizations or businesses that are required to file Tier 2 emergency and hazardous chemical reports. And this will still leave the membership at 22. Does anyone have any questions?
What's the benefit we get from doing that? What do the other members bring to the table? I guess I'm just curious.
Can you give me just a little bit of better understanding what the question was?
I just want to know what benefit will come from changing the membership status.
One of the things that was recognized is the city must fall within compliance of Environmental Protection Agency. And part of that is the LEPC. There should be members from the local city, the local businesses in the city that produce, hold, and house chemicals that could be harmful, hazardous materials, to give them an opportunity, because those are our players that we have significant concerns with within the city. They also bring, from time to time, tools and appliances and expertise that may not be on their facility, but they may be able to assist us in an incident. We may be able to ask for specific chemicals to help with the incident, or tools, appliances, and suits. a strong benefit would be to have them partner with that and then annually have drills to exercise their emergency operations internally and then us externally how we deal with those situations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Next, moving on to Resolution 2023-25, a resolution to amend the employee handbook. I think Andrew's going to walk us through line by line each item, and it should only take us 2 to 3 hours. This is essentially, if this isn't correct, correct me, but it's essentially a rewrite of our entire employee handbook and incorporates Dayforce into it. And I would just suggest everybody take some time, read through it. If you have any questions and concerns about anything, get with Andrew and Bruce, and that can hopefully be addressed before the meeting. But it's a lot to read through.
It is. It's what guides our, daily operation of policy and procedure for our employees. And the overarching objective of this revision was to simplify some language for our employees, and then also to define some areas that have been larger areas of policy violation so that we can define some of those areas with more definition of what our response will be when those things happen. So happy to answer any questions tonight or offline if anybody has any.
You don't want to walk us through?
I would be happy to. No one else in the room would want me to.
I glanced at it. Of course, that's something you need to deal with, but give us a couple of for instances of something that you felt like needed to be changed.
Sure. I spent time focusing a lot of effort on Section 9, which was our workplace harassment and violence section. I wanted to define harassment, discrimination, and sexual harassment with a little more clarity. And then we also built into this handbook a matrix of sort of what our discipline progressive feedback will look like when an employee enters into a territory of violating policy or procedure. One of the things that I've tried to do over the last now 2 years of being here is move away from subjective discipline, where that would be, I think you should get this and you do the same offense, but you get that, right? So defining consistent approaches, that helps our leaders know what they should do. It also helps our employees understand what happens when they enter into those territories. So that section has a number of revisions. Chapter number 16 is brand new. That is our Dayforce human resource system that we are going live with on December 23rd. And so that will define how to operate that system as an employee, what you're responsible for, how that all works. So that section is probably a bit more technical, but it's a section that did not exist because we were an all-manual process before that. Throughout the book, again, there's not necessarily huge amounts of changes. A lot of it has been simplified wording, but there is some significant changes in some sections. The last one I'll point out, and I'll be happy to answer questions as well, is the use of city vehicles policy on page 36. If you had a take-home vehicle, whether you were a city employee or whether you were a police officer or fire department member who had a take-home vehicle, previously in handbooks, the length of distance between the city and your home had to be 25 miles or less. And based on some research that we've done with municipalities all around us, we've enhanced that to 50 miles. So it allows our first responders, more of them, to take their vehicles home instead of parking at a agreed upon partner police station or fire station. That makes the response on our end faster on their end. And it's also a good way for some of our leaders who live further away. They'll be able to take their city vehicle to their house instead of parking it as well. So that's one of the benefits that we added.
That's fine. I was just curious about some of the highlights. That's fine.
Yep. Any other questions?
One of the things I would suggest for a change is looking at 4.8. I know we've discussed promotions. I know it says 90 days with no final written warnings. Personally, just to align with, I know what we do in the private sector, it's usually anywhere in between 6 to 12 months of no disciplinary action, not just a final warning. So,
And later in the handbook where the progressive feedback is spoken about, we're going to align to a first written lasting 30 days and a final written lasting 1 year. So how that plays out in reality is that record will always be in the employee's personnel file. But after that time period, it will be like it didn't exist, right, for them. They won't have a progressive feedback based on that. So that final written warning that you saw there, the wording in 4.8, that would be a 1 year period, and then that would expire for them. They could be eligible for promotion.
right, they would after that year, but.
Correct.
My concern is anything in between, as far as if we're having disciplinary action, that's not a final written warning, but is, whether it's a written, a verbal, something in there that typically in the private sector, that would prevent you from being eligible for a promotion.
Okay. We can relook at that.
And that's coming from the private sector. I don't know if with y'all's careers, if y'all's HR has something similar to that. So,
Handbooks are always riveting. We all love them.
oh yeah.
Living documents.
That's right. Living documents.
But it's a lot to get through. I can tell you I haven't finished going through it, but definitely read through it. If y'all have other questions, concerns, get those over to him.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to number 9, a resolution of the City of Laverne to participate in the Public Entity Partners James L. Richardson Driver Safety Matching Grant Program. The cost on this is $1,912. The grant will pay for half of this amount. It's for 6 collapsible cones, 150 driving course manuals, and the purchase of an annual motor vehicle record check for employees who drive vehicles. So, any questions on that? Moving on to number 10, Resolution 2023-27, a resolution of the City of Laverne Board of Mayor and Aldermen to declare property owned by the city to be surplus to the city's needs and directing disposal of the same. This month we've got some items that need to be basically metal scrapped with Public Works, and that's about it for that. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to appoint or remove board and committee members. We've got one term vacant on the Bear Board where Mr. Andy Honeycutt has moved away. He resigned for that reason. That is being advertised, and whenever we get a applicant, that will be on the agenda, but this is just an FYI until then. Laverne Housing Authority, we've got one term that expires the 30th of November. That is Barbara McGee. She would like to remain on the Housing Authority, but we are advertising this, so that will be on the agenda. Next, we've got the Stormwater Appeals and Advisory Board. We've got 2 terms vacant and 1 term that expires December 31st. And this has been one that's been kind of challenging to fill. I know I spoke with a resident Tuesday night about it, but if y'all know of anybody, please let them know. The term that's expiring at the end of the year is Chuck Dillon, and we will reach out to him to see if he wishes to remain on this board or not, and go from there. The next 2 are just FYIs. You've got the Historical Preservation Advisory Committee. The term of Rhonda Humphrey is expiring at the end of the year, and we will contact her to see if she wishes to remain on that board or not, but that will be advertised as well on social media and on Channel 3. And then last, we have got the Library Board. We've got 2 terms expiring. We have got our famous Dr. Martin Burgess, who is just on Family Feud, and Kamisha Sadler, whose terms will be expiring. Dr. Burgess, we will contact to see if he wishes to remain on this board, but Kamisha Sadler will be coming off this board. So that will begin to be advertised on Channel 3 and social media. So moving on to our last item of the night, we've got discussion Brookside Neighborhood Park. And we're going to have David come up here. This way, if there's any questions for him or Andrew, they can speak to it. But essentially, we have a 50-50 grant awarded to us from TDEC. And looking at all of the increasing prices and the strings that are attached to that, at this point, it's looking to be roughly $800,000 or more. And the belief is that we can actually do this in-house without the grant, with the money that's budgeted for it, and not have all of those strings attached. So David, Andrew, if y'all want to.
Yeah, I've got Andrew with me. He may have a little more insight on some stuff that I can't answer, but that's where we're at with it. We wanted to get back in front of you guys because the cost just keeps skyrocketing. Once we got a new city engineer on board, he reran some figures, and the initial figures were quite a bit off than what we think they're at now. The city now has allotted like $200,000 for this. I think we could at least do the playground area itself for about $80,000 if we did it in-house. Is that correct? One thing the state is requiring from us is a poured-in-place surfacing at that playground area. We prefer a mulch surfacing. Our concern is if we put a poured-in-place over there at 60-some-odd $1,000, we get a good storm come through there and it washes it away, then we're on the hook for replacing that. So we could probably mulch that thing at least 10 times over for what it would cost us for that surfacing. We know that area of town needs something, so we're not proposing to do away with it altogether. I think this is something that we can move forward with as baby steps. I don't think on the front end we would be able to possibly add the walking trail because there is going to be some dirt work done. Now, I don't know if we can do that in-house or not. I would assume the playground company would require a 2% grade. There's a good possibility that we could do that in-house. Randy is pretty good. Some of the stormwater guys are pretty good. I don't want to volunteer somebody else's department, but we have a couple of operators in our department that are pretty decent if they had the materials to work with. With that being said, we want to get this in front of you guys because if we move forward with this, we're going to be tied to it pretty much forever. I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on a TDEC grant. My understanding is once you take it and accept it and move forward with it and the finished product is signed off on, you are responsible for it forever. One thing we were not aware of until we first started, that the creek, the neighborhood that backs up to the creek, if at some point in time we want to add a bridge, a pedestrian bridge from that neighborhood over the creek to the park, if it's not in this initial plan, we will never be able to do that. I think the dirt work, this would just be a neighborhood park, so if we move forward with returning the grant and trying to do what we can in-house and through contracts, of course, it would be a walk-up park. We wouldn't visit the parking lot area. This would be more of a neighborhood walk-up park for those neighborhoods over there. I think when you start bringing in dirt, doing the parking lot, that's where your costs are going to increase greatly.
Evan, if you don't mind me asking, with TDEC grants, can they do in perpetuity? Because I know with like city agreements with groups, we can only do what, like 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, when the state ties a string to money like that, there's not really a limit that they can put on it if they don't want to. But yeah,
not following their own rules.
Which almost makes you look at it and say, is it worth it?
So after you talk about the playground being 80,000 approximately, is that
Yes.
correct?
3 play structures, border, and the surfacing, which would be a
And
wood
then
fiber mulch.
As time goes by and we can get money into the park system, can we start adding to as far as
Oh, I would think if we already have 2,000 budgeted now, which was a requirement from TDEC, I think the original grant was 160, 162, and then COVID hit. They gave everybody more money, which brought our share up to like 202, 204, something in that area. So that money, to the best of my understanding, is already budgeted for. So that pot right there would be 202. If we can get a playground, not saying these figures are set in stone, because the playground equipment usually goes up with the calendar year.
I will let you know on this playground equipment for 80,000. This is general public pricing. Since the city can buy it under Omnia contract, the rep told us usually 10% cheaper. And that's installed also, so.
And the reason you have this pricing in your packet is the state would not let us use a nationwide purchasing contract. It had to be a state of Tennessee contract to fall underneath their grant. And there's not a state of Tennessee contract for a playground system. But Omni is a nationwide purchasing co-op, and they fall under that.
And that type of mulch, is it ADA compliant?
It is ADA compliant. It's what we have at Veterans now. As far as wood fiber mulch, yes, sir, it is. It kind of, over time, sets down and kind of wants to form a little carpet. Of course, our staff would have to go out there on a daily basis and rake it back in, but that's what we do at the park now.
Well, I'm certainly not a grant expert, but from talking to Felicia and now listening to Evan, it sounds like if we do any kind of grant, we're married to that thing forever, or for a very long time anyway.
And I think you're right on this, and I don't know if it's still the case. When this thing first started, the ball started rolling. We were awarded this in September of '21. At that time, previous to that, we were told that the builder was going to donate the shelter. TDEC required us to put that in the plans anyway, as the city was going to pay for it, because they couldn't go through a third party. If that's still a possibility for a builder to donate a shelter, that would alleviate some of our costs there also.
So if we vote on this Tuesday,
Well, this is currently a discussion item.
well,
So-
but I guess I'm trying to get moved forward because it's been needing done over there for a long time. It's
So,
from start to finish, or start to get starting, or just,
Bruce, if we wanted to put this on the item, would it be on this month or next month
Well,
to
I was going to make a
possibly
suggestion.
reject?
We probably need to talk to TDEC and see what the process is to get out of the grant before we actually vote on something.
okay.
That way we can make sure we're doing it the right way, to release our obligations to it. So probably be the January meeting, just so we can have some time to make sure we get our ducks in a row and do it the right way.
Okay, with everything being equal.
And I'm sure we would probably somewhere have to reimburse any monies that they have released to the city. What that figure is, I don't know right off the top of my
Who,
head.
TDEC, they already
Yes.
released
Well,
money to
that's
it?
in the planning stages have been going along with Reagan Smith, as the engineering firm has also been designing the playground.
I would say at this point, and board, y'all can correct me if you disagree, but I would say we probably need to make a phone call to Reagan Smith just to say, pause on anything right now while we explore with the state what our options are. This way there's no additional costs incurred before the board can weigh back in on this. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to do it the right way, naturally, and do it legally and all of that, but at the same time, I personally would want to get it started too, because that's been lingering for many years, and the fine folks over there don't have anywhere to go with their kids unless they come over here. So at least it's a start.
Yes.
So, but I'm just thinking that maybe, I don't know the timeline, that we can get a parking lot, or we can get a shelter, or, something,
Yeah, with the cost just continuing to rise, there's no good way of telling you what the final cost is gonna be, because the equipment's just gonna go up. Without putting a bid out to find out what that cost would be, and I don't know if that would just be a sample bid, or if there's somewhere down the line, if you did put a bid out, if you could do a budget amendment to accept that bid. But even at that, playground equipment is probably 8 or 10 months out on order.
Okay.
So you mentioned the bridge. If we, with T-Deck, if we didn't put the bridge in with that, we wouldn't be able to put the bridge in. Is
Well,
that
we
what
can't put the
understood?
bridge in now if we move forward with this grant because it was not in the original proposal.
Okay.
So anything that wasn't in their original proposal, we can't add. So if we do away with the grant, it's pretty much up to the city of what we want to add over there and when we want to add it.
Yeah, a bridge would be really nice when I was out walking the neighborhoods in.
And that was the first thing, the day they awarded the grant, they all came out here and we did a site visit. And we had mentioned a bridge across the creek and they were saying, no, definitely not, that won't happen.
Okay.
You're talking about the bridge connected with Brookside
Yes, sir.
subdivision.
It would be connecting phase 1 and phase 2 together.
I think it's, when it crosses, it would tie into Mountaintop Trail.
It looks like it's 2 roads right now that just ended.
Yes.
Yes.
Originally, the plan was for to have them connected, but then there were some changes as far as through the state, and they said that when phase 2 came along, a bridge would not be allowed there for vehicles to travel. Now, pedestrian, that was a whole different story.
But yeah, it looks like there's nothing, so, okay.
Sounds like you guys are doing your homework, and I know from the Parks and Rec meeting, I really appreciate it because I learned a lot from it, and talking with Felicia especially, so I guess we'll just wait till the phone calls are made, and then we can hopefully next year get this thing rolling.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you both. Moving on to mayor and alderman comments. Alderman Waldron.
Yeah, again, check on the elderly, and it's a good time to winterize your home and car. Make sure your pets have shelter and fresh water. And I see this today that we got a toy drive going on at City Hall in the lobby. Any unwrapped gift people can bring and throw in the box at the lobby at City Hall, and unperishable food items for the seniors. That's all.
Alderwoman Hobbs.
Nothing for this evening, thank you.
Alderwoman Hobbs.
I look forward to seeing everyone at the Parade of Lights Saturday night and at the Winter Festival and Santa.
Vice Mayor No.
You folks that's watching at home, as you saw some comments earlier, I would encourage you, if you want to get involved in the city, is to get on some of these boards, find out kind of what it's like from the inside. We need some board members. Get involved, and you'll find out more about how things are done. That's it.
Well, I wanted to wish an early birthday to a buddy of mine, Mr. Donnie Fergus. His birthday is Saturday, so happy early birthday there. Remind everyone we've got the toy drive going on. We've got multiple locations people can donate toys, and then we've got the parade on Saturday. Weather looks beautiful, should be perfect. Chiefs, y'all both been working on your wave?
Sure.
There you go. See, look, there.
No, it's not like this, Ronnie. It's like this. No, it's a wave.
Should be lots of fun, so come down. We have probably the biggest parade we've had in the city. So with that, call this meeting adjourned.